We'll talk about one of the most exciting things I've seen in recent gaming news, specifically within the realm of retro and Android handhelds. Yesterday, I got word of the initial release of Lossless Scaling for Android. Now, if you're not familiar or haven't heard of Lossless Scaling yet, it is a paid app that you can buy on Steam, and it basically allows you to improve the visual quality of your game or sometimes even movies and anime via upscaling and frame generation. This includes games and apps that do not natively support it, as shown in my very pro-looking slide here. That is lossless scaling. Basically helps you with your gaming. In simpler terms, this app can make your game look and feel better with just a few clicks. Before, it was only available on Windows and Linux devices, but as of yesterday, like I mentioned, the initial release for lossless scaling on Android has been made available. It's right over here, and this is big news, guys. I personally feel like it's our Christmas from childhood again, and it's only in April. Like the significance of this um, is just mind blowing to me because with Android gaming in general, it's huge as it will help propel, what retro handhelds can do, especially in relation to stuff like Game Native, Game Hub, stuff like that that's been taking the spotlight in the recent months. In addition to that, seeing that a lot of the recent emulation devices are now released with Android OS, it is indeed a great time to have an Android gaming device or gaming in general. Well, a quick disclaimer first. Um, for LSFG or lossless scaling, I will use both terms interchangeably. For it to work on your Android device, you will need to have it purchased on Steam. We'll get into setting it up in a bit, but yes, it is a prerequisite that you have it purchased and installed in your PC. On top of that, again, this is the very first release of lossless scaling for Android, and as such, it's like early access in games. We can expect some bugs and stuff that will need to be ironed out. Now that we have that out of the way, in this video, I'll show you how I've installed and set it up with my AYN Thor. As you can see, I have my Thor plugged in to my PC, and it's showing you this display. Let me see if I can show it to you as well. It's right there on the side, and yeah, I'll show it. I'll show it to you guys how it's done. Okay, so what are the stuff that we need? What are the things that we need to have this set up and running? First, you'll need, of course, your capable Android device. Definitely, in my case, it's AYN Thor. We'll also need the lossless scaling frame generator APK side loaded. I'll link that in the description, but it's basically this page. You can hit this and then download that into your Android device. Okay, so next you need is the lossless.dll file, and you can obtain that by purchasing lossless scaling on Steam and installing it in your computer. We can find that file in the folder where you've installed lossless scaling, and you can easily go there by clicking here. If you have it on Steam, click over on Manage, and then Browse Local Files. Scroll down a bit and you'll see the lossless.dll file right here. Just this one. Don't confuse it with the other ones. Just this lossless.dll. All right, you can copy that over to your Android device, and you'll be good. Now let's open up LSFG. Actually, yeah. So I have it already sideloaded here. Actually, let me go ahead and uninstall that for you, so that you can see it step by step. One sec. Okay, so if you have Obtainium with you, like I did, I already copied the link so that when it sends out an update, it will automatically update on my device as well. Got it here. Then simply tap install. Should load for a bit. And then, yeah, when it asks you to install, hit install, and you'll be good. So the first time you run it, it's going to ask you directly if you want to view the tutorial. Now, if you're like me and most people who don't like reading manuals, we'll click on skip for now. But you can also view that for a detailed guide on how to set it up. It's all up to you. For LSFG, like I mentioned, we'll need the lossless.dll file that we got from your licensed lossless scaling on Steam. Now, this is the step where we'll need it. As you see here, first step, it will show you select DLL. Tap on that. It's going to show you this warning, and simply click on I own a lossless scaling license. Continue, and then select lossless.dll. Find it over to your files where you copied it. In my case, it's right here. When that is done, you can hit back. You can get over to the second step. The second item here is the target app. We'll discuss this in a bit, but for now, let's choose one emulator or one Android app that I'd like to use it, get help with the frames basically, and that would be like Game Native, for example. I'll choose that. Now, step 3 or line 3 here, here's where it gets a bit more fun because here you will see the options you have for frame generation and upscaling. So we'll click on that. Up top, you'll see LSFG frame gen. For now, let's turn this off. This turns on the frame generation, but yeah, turn it off for now so that we can show it to you further. Now, next to this is frame multiplier. And as the name suggests, this is how much frames you'd like your base frame rate to be multiplied. Now, frame generation, of course, comes with compromises like latency, a little frame warping, and some visual artifacts. And so I've tested this out and I found out that 3x, 2 to 3x would be the sweet spot for my AYN Thor. We'll get into that in a bit as well. But the default is 2x, as you can see. For now, let's choose 3x. Let's slide this to 3x, and then we can move on. Now, next one is flow scale. This part is the upscaling. I'm not 100% on this, and I could be wrong, but from what I can tell, this is how accurate the generated frames can be. So a higher number is equal to less artifacting, and the lower it is on the slider, the more visual artifacts and frame warping you will get. For a safe bet, I will leave it on zero point 0.5 for now. All right, so next is performance mode, LSFG 3.1p. Now, as the description says, it will use a lower quality shader variant, and this will be helpful if you have mid-range GPUs. So you can turn that on or off depending on your device. For now, I'll leave that on. And the next to HDR mode, obviously if your device can handle HDR or have HDR, and if your screen has HDR as well, you can turn that on. And then anti-artifacts mode, yeah, basically if you're getting a lot of artifacting, visual glitches on your frame generation, you can turn this on as well. This would help to reduce that on the process. But for now, I'll leave both off. Okay, so the last line in this submenu here is pacing, and you can adjust this while you're in game. We'll get to that later, so let's tap on the back button up top. All right, so next we have overlay and display, which shows us the options for the overlay. Now, first one here is overlay style. And yeah, this one lets you choose if you want an icon or a drawer type for LSFG. For now, I chose icon button. So next is overlay handle, and under that, you can choose which side the overlay would open from. So you can choose left, right, top, or bottom. I'll choose left for this one. If you scroll down, next to it is the HUD options, so heads-up display. As you can see, it will show you FPS counter and the frame pacing graph. So yeah, let's turn that on so that we'll see it. We'll see the info once we run lossless scaling. And then we have touch pass through. trusted overlay. Now this one, it will give you sort of like the magnifying glass button from the accessibility menu. For now, I've left it off as I didn't see any use case for it. And then last but definitely not least is the capture mode. Now, with my testing, I found out that the first option of media projection doesn't work with my AYN Thor, and so I had to install Shizuku for this one. So if you have a Thor like me, you can choose a Shizuku capture, and yeah, I'll show you how to install that as well in a bit. All right, so we've finished this submenu here, so let's go back up top and then hit back. And then lastly, we have this automatic overlay. If you turn this option on, it will ask you for apps that you'd like to use LSFG on. And if you have any of those apps open, LSFG will ask you if you want to turn on the options for frame generation. It's a bit wonky to turn on from my testing at the moment, so I would advise we keep this off for now until maybe further updates. Alright, great. Now we're done with LSFG for now. We'll get on with installing Shizuku, and you can simply search that in Google Play. Now, just a heads up, I tried to record installing Shizuku on my end, but yeah, it uses USB debugging and it messes up the recording on my AYN Thor. And so I'll just try to send some screenshots or show you some screenshots on the video. Basically, once you've downloaded Shizuku, open it up. It will ask you to give permission, first with notifications and also with wireless debugging. So enable developer options, wireless debugging as well. Go to that and it will ask you to pair it. So pair it with code. It will show you a code and then it will notify you as well that it needs that code. Simply enter that code and it will pair up. If you did it right, then it will show you that it's successful and then it will close the app in like 3 seconds. It will show you that notice as well. And you're done with Shizuku. After that, after you've installed Shizuku, and yeah, after all that tapping and fiddling, we can actually head back to Lossless Scaling, and we can finally try this one on a game. All right, let's do this. Now, to start a game with Lossless Scaling, simply head back here up top and hit on Start Session. Okay, so now, as with Android apps, the first time you run it, it will ask you to give permission. For lossless scaling, it's going to ask you to allow it to display over other apps. Simply find it here, LSFG for Android, turn the switch on, and you're good. Now hit back, and then hit the start session again. It's going to ask you to allow it to access Shizuku as well. Allow all the time, of course. And yeah, once we're there, I'm in Game Native. Let me just close out of this here. And yeah, you can see this is the overlay that we checked earlier for lossless scaling. It shows you the real FPS, the total FPS, combined with the generated frames. It also has a graph. Green is for like the real frames and then blue for generated. Let's try it on a game, actually. Let's see. Okay, I have Batman in here. I tested it out with Batman Arkham City. Okay, let's load that up. Okay, now that we are in the game, I've hooked in my Bluetooth controller to my Thor, and so that for easier access. Yeah, let's try to start this up, and let's get out of this menu and actually head into the game. Alright, so we are in the game. Now, I still have the lossless scaling turned off, and as you can see, the real FPS and total are the same, because like I mentioned, it's still off at the moment. Now, how do we turn this on, actually?
Quinn slowed me down. I need to get back after Joker.
Yes, Batman, we're gonna need to click on this little Android guy here. It's gonna open up here, the drawer for LSFG, and this is the button for turning on frame generation. Let's hit that on. Remember, we set it up for 3x, so when I turn it on and then go back, alright, now we can see a lot of difference here. The real FPS is about 28 to 30.
I should head back to the loading
between
bay.
like
It's the
26,
only route to
25,
Joker.
30, and then the total we get is like between like 70 to 90, let's say. Now, yeah, it's gonna fluctuate a bit, but yeah, it feels super smooth right now, especially when I am looking at the sword screen. It's not gonna transfer much on this side since this is just a video over USB. But on this side, on my Thor,
Quinn
this one
slowed me
right here,
down. I
it
need to get back
went
after Joker.
real smooth. You can feel the difference. 30 to 90 is a huge jump, and yeah, like I mentioned, we chose 3x for it, and yeah, we can see it right here. It's working. I can tell you, 100%, it's working. Okay, so I've loaded up my other save, which is in like the outside world, and further on in the game. So it's gonna be a bit busier. You see the snow falling, the citizens there. Yeah, let me just try to see if I can, yeah, fly around for a bit and see how it affects the FPS. And as you can see, the busier places, yeah, they dip down with FPS. Like it's gonna go down to like 60. But yeah, if you're looking at the screen, the source screen, it's still like way smoother than the lock 30 FPS or anywhere in between. And for latency, I actually haven't felt much. Maybe it's because of the setting. I'll show you. Okay, so let's get down with the list that we got here for the LSFG quick menu. Yeah, it's basically like almost the same as the one that we've set up earlier on the LSFG app. It's literally almost identical, except for the fact that we have this pacing drop down now. Remember, on the LSFG menu on the app, this doesn't have the options, but when you're in game, it gives you this option right here. It's like 3 lines, 3 or 4 lines, but yeah, let's get into this. So pacing, the default one is balanced. So I found out that this or smooth or balanced tends to give the most frames per second, FPS. But for me personally, I tend to choose low latency for frame generation. Simply because the frame generation process adds up some latency on the game that you're playing because yeah it needs that to think basically it needs that time to insert the extra frames that we're generating, and so it adds up. And sometimes it makes the game a little too floaty. If you add so much frames, like maybe 4, 5x, or more. So I tend to use that, pick low latency just to mitigate that latency that we get from frame generation. Now, VSync aligned pacing, I usually turn this off. I know that for Android, VSync is turned off, basically, so I just leave this off for now. For target FPS, I choose 60. Don't know if actually this matters here. Particularly, I've tested this out on a couple of my games, and this didn't matter at all. Maybe when the VSync aligned pacing is turned on, maybe this would matter and it will follow the FPS cap. But if I wanted to put FPS cap, I would just set it up with game native, for example, instead of here. So yeah, I just choose 60 and whatever. And then lastly, we have the advanced menu. This actually adheres to the pacing menu you got here. So when you choose smooth, it changes out the sliders, EMA alpha, outlier ratio, VSync slack, then Q death. And then, yeah, when you choose balance, it changes that. So just choose low latency and I'll be good. Of course, you can reset this to defaults. If you messed this one up, no problem. Just use this one. It's going to go back to default settings. And then, yeah, we have the heads-up display overlay again, which we already chose on the LSFG app earlier. So there's that. And then lastly, we have the end session button. Now, when you click on this, it will turn off the LSFG. So any frame generation, anything like that, it's going to end, but it's not going to turn off your game. So let's try that end session. And yeah, you stay on here where you are. You can continue playing your game, but of course, without the option to generate more frames for it. Now, a few noteworthy things to discuss before we head on to different games as well. I've tested this out on a couple and I'll show you in a bit. But first, I can assure you this is not just placebo, and it really does feel a lot smoother when you turn that frame generation switch on. I know some people, they don't like frame generation, they're against it or whatever. But yeah, you do you. If you're interested, you can try this out. No problem. We'll help you with making the game feel a lot better, a lot smoother, perhaps, because you're um, taking it. Because my target personally is just to play games 60 FPS at least. So this one helps out tremendously on that part. All right, so it might not translate directly through this video, but yes, I am running it now. The games that I've tested on 60 plus FPS, the movement is smoother. It looks a little better, and yes, there's also a little bit of warping here and there. Some artifacts that we'll see, but I'll give it a pass for now, since again, this is just the initial release of the app, the very first release for the LSFG on Android. So there's no way but up, basically. So yeah, let's hope for the best and hope we receive further updates on this. And furthermore, I also know that I chose 3x. So sometimes, quick maths, 30 times 3 should be 90. I locked the games that I tested, especially the heavy ones like Arkham City. I locked it at 30 FPS, so times 3, that should be 90. But I'm only getting around 60-ish around the busy areas. And that's one of the compromises for frame generation. You can read more about how it works to understand it better. But regardless, as it shows, I can now play this game at a much smoother frame rate without having to worry about downloading like specific patches or mods for this game, like you do on Switch or the Switch emulator and all that stuff that comes with that process, right? So basically, this is like a one size fits all. We can try this out on different emulators as well. I plan to do it on a separate video, especially for retro games, if it makes it better. Let me know in the comments if I should do that or if you're interested in it. A few more caveats off the top of my head while using lossless scaling. Number one, it doesn't work well with front ends, as you need to start the process from LSFG. Now, you can try it, but on my testing, I found out it was tedious and a bit janky at the moment. So if you love your front end, maybe now is not the time to try out lossless scaling. But I've made peace with it, and that's only fine. I've added lossless scaling on my emulation station. And yeah, I started from there. I'll show you in a bit how to start another game or how to switch emulators. And again, I know I'm reiterating this like a lot of times, but this is an initial release, so we can expect bugs and updates to come. But that said, this release alone already does a lot in terms of frame generation, and it busts open another door for our gaming needs, especially on our Android devices. So I really cannot thank Frank Beretta enough and everyone involved in creating this tool. I've been using it on my PC and my previous setup before, so it helped a lot in improving my games. And so, yeah, thank you so much for everyone involved in this project. So that's it. Now we have set up and have lossless scaling on our Android devices. What do you guys think? Is this for you? or would you wait a couple more updates for you to try it out? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one. Paalam!